Amirah Sackett is a multi-generational Muslim living in Chicago, Illinois. She has created a unique style of Muslim hip-hop dance that is showcased in her dance troupe, We're Muslim, Don't Panic. Amirah is a dancer, a choreographer, educator, and activist who is with me today to explain how she is breaking the stereotypes Muslim women face with hijabs and sneakers. Welcome, Amirah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
It's good. Let me see a quick clip of We're Muslim, Don't Panic. What are people's reactions?
Most people I really genuinely love it. I think that dance is an art form that a lot of people respond to in a positive way. The general population is taken aback that there's like a Muslim woman who wears hijab who does this kind of powerful movement. I think that it's just appreciated for what it is in its art form.
What compelled you to start this dance troupe and have it so identify as being Muslim?
I started We're Muslim, Don't Panic, which is kind of my company name. The piece that was just featured is called Love Embraces All, which is a solo that is supported by dancers. And I started this idea back in 2011. I have been dancing my whole life, and I was really upset with the way that the media was portraying Muslim women. I felt that our voices weren't being heard, we weren't being represented in the full spectrum that we exist. And so I decided, what is my art form? It's dance. My medium is hip hop. And so I'm like, what can I do to kind of create something that shows us in a different light, shows our power and beauty?
You're American born. This troupe, you decided you're going to dance in traditional garments, or you've always been dancing like this?
I wear hijab every day. When I created this, however, I wasn't fully comfortable with both aspects of myself. So being Muslim, being in hip hop, it was a lot to explain to people, right? How these two things could actually coexist. But I existed in hip hop culture, which the underground scene, which was breaking, and this style that I do, popping. And these dance styles are really gender neutral. They're under the umbrella of hip hop culture. They're dances that are primarily done where we battle each other, but me doing something theatrical and something that puts the Muslim identity in the spotlight, that was something definitely new for me. As artists, it's our job to say something, right? So we speak up for the oppressed. Also educate the population of people from other faiths in this country about Muslim women. I also do a lecture where I talk about hijab, why Muslim women wear it, and misconceptions within Islam.
What you've been doing, has it broken down any stereotypes?
I think the best thing that's happened since I've been traveling all over the country, doing lectures, teaching workshops, and performing, is that I get to speak about Islam. I get to speak about some aspects of it that people don't ever hear. I feel a sense of unity between the people that come to my show.
What has been the reaction from the hip hop community?
My hip hop community loves me. So, they were like, you might be pushing the envelope here, Amirah, doing something like this. But as far as hip hop goes, I don't really exist in the commercialized hip hop. That's a totally different scene, I feel like, than I exist in. So when you're talking about music videos and things for entertainment, that's commercialized hip hop.
From a different perspective, was there any criticism from within the Muslim community that maybe you're doing something you shouldn't be doing?
Yeah, of course. I think as soon as someone hears the word dance and a woman dancing, their immediate image is someone dancing behind a rapper, skimpy. And so a lot of people have these different concepts of hip hop as being one thing, and then they don't realize the dance style I do is I'm doing the robot and doing all these kind of angular dance moves with my arms. Generally, when people see the actual dance, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. That's not really what I thought it was. But you're always going to have critics, somebody that isn't comfortable with you mixing dance and religion, or, art and religion. But I think that generally when people see the dance, they realize that I'm speaking with my heart about common issues that we all face.
You grew up where?
Part of my life was spent in Chicago.
Do people assume because you're wearing a hijab that you were not born in America?
Every day.
Every day.
Every day.
And what do you say?
It doesn't bother me.
You just laugh. You laugh at it.
I laugh at it. I'm like, no, I'm born from Chicago. And they're like, no, really, where are you from? The beauty of it is that that's a learning place as well. As Muslims, one of the gifts that we have right now are these continued opportunities to talk to our fellow Americans and neighbors. And I think just being who you are is really powerful in this day and age. Me walking down the street sometimes has as much impact as me doing a dance performance talking about Islam.
Now, what does wearing the hijab mean to you as a Muslim?
Through my studies of Islam, it's something that is prescribed for us as modesty and a protection for us.
Is there a conflict between dressing modestly as a Muslim and dancing as a woman, even provocatively to some?
If I was dancing provocatively, it would be a problem. My intention behind my dances is never to be provocative in a sexual way. It wouldn't be acceptable for me to be in public doing those dance styles. I have to make choices as a Muslim about how I'm presenting my dance, what I'm wearing, and how I'm dancing.
What are the moves in poppin'?
The style that I really do a lot of is called tutting, and it's based off King Tut, Egyptian hieroglyphics, which also happens to be like all geometry. So all of these kind of shapes that I make with my hands and my arms is creating shapes in space and kind of creating these illusions. And I do the robot a lot.
Right.
So I'm one of the few females that do this dance. We're kind of in the minority. It's definitely a male-dominated dance form. There's still so much training that goes into it. And then there's a competitive aspect to it as well.
These contests, what do you win at the end?
Respect.
Money? Respect. It's respect.
I don't enter as many battles now. I judge a lot of battles. And being a judge in a battle, I'm looking for kind of creativity. I'm looking for technique. But because I also love theater and I love choreographing pieces, that's what leads me to create these pieces that have more of a storyline.
How does your creativity actually work in actually coming up with the dance?
I'm really inspired right now by poetry. A lot of the work that I'm doing currently utilizes the poetry of Rumi, who is a 13th century Islamic scholar and poet who is very famous. You know, when you read poetry, there's these visual images that you have in your mind. If it's talking about building something up and tearing something down, there's a physical image that comes to my mind, and so then when I'm dancing, I create from those words.
Tell us a little bit about some of your memorable performances.
One of the best performances I had was in Bangladesh. In 2014, I traveled there as part of a team called Next Level, which was a diplomacy program through the U.S. State Department and University of North Carolina for us to kind of connect with artists in Bangladesh that were involved in hip hop. And we created this show. At this point in time in Dhaka, a lot of people weren't really exposed to hip hop, so they didn't really know a lot about it. All of our performers, both from the US and from Bangladesh, got a standing ovation. For me, it meant a lot. And I was like crying because being in a Muslim country, standing up, doing my art, and having it respected and appreciated and loved. So it's one of the happiest moments I've had.
Now, you recently also performed in Chicago in November in something called Al Nafs.
Al Nafs was a piece that I created and set on Chicago Dance Crash, which is a hip-hop dance company here. Tommy Hensel, who really believed in me as an artist, commissioned me to set this piece on 9 dancers in Chicago. So I'm like, okay, how do I do a piece that reflects my Islamic perspective, but set it on people who are non-Muslim? And it's really about the struggle against the self. In Islam, this is a huge responsibility of every Muslim. And so I created an entire dance piece exploring that. Within that process, we really grew close together as a family. I feel that the concepts of religion or the philosophies of Islam are not just for Muslims. They're like for the entire world.
Are you fearful these days walking the streets wearing a hijab as a Muslim?
Well, I'm from Chicago, so I'm not afraid
You're
of
too
anything.
tough. You're tough. You're right. True.
I'm pretty tough.
True.
I'm pretty tough over here.
Have you had any situations?
I think all of us have had, situations that have been uncomfortable as Muslims, whether our name is Muhammad,
Right.
or whether we're wearing hijab. One time, me and my friends who also wear hijab were walking down the street and some guy rode by on a bike and spit at us.
Mm-hmm.
This is in Chicago. People making comments that are not really cool with me, and I have to keep my peace. And I think that the main thing that we need to do is try to break down those kind of assumptions we make about people. Whether you're Muslim, whether you're Black, whether you're brown, we have to just look at the person for who they are. But definitely the rise in hate speech has emboldened people to just feel that they can lash out at certain groups. Fighting Islamophobia across the country, I'm exposed to smaller towns,
Right.
and to Muslims in those communities who let me know about stories that are happening to them that you're never going to hear on the news, but that are frightening. That really is why I continue to do this work. The more that we have these discussions, the less that this hate speech will have power.
What are you telling people to get them to change their mind about Muslims if they are fearful?
I start talking about the similarities between Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, and how they all come from the same root and source of the Abrahamic faith. Because hip hop is something that we share as Americans, I feel like when people see me dance and when they hear me talk, they can relate to me. Maybe if I teach a dance workshop, these kids are like, "Ooh, cool, show me how to do this, show me how
Right.
to do that." But in the end, it might make them look differently at a classmate, for instance, that starts to wear hijab, or another Muslim student, because they've had an interaction with me, they related to me, and so now their image of Muslims is a little bit shifted.
Right.
That's my hope.
Where do we find out more about you and your group, Where Muslim Don't Panic?
So you can kind of check out amirahsackett.com and the work that I do. That will kind of give you information if you're interested in booking me in a school to do a performance. And you can also follow me on Instagram at Amirah Sackett. YouTube, you can look me up on there. And then on Facebook, Where Muslim Don't Panic. I do post a lot of articles about Islam and about Muslims and about different situations
Right.
that you don't always hear in the mainstream news.
All right, really cool. Tell me if you feel you've achieved your American dream, if you have more to go.
I think that being an artist has not been the easiest road, but it's such a beautiful journey that I've had, and I'm so thankful to Allah and thankful to all the people that have supported me and mentored me along the way. I feel that I am living the life that I really, really wanted to live, and it makes me really proud and happy to also encourage others to go after their passions, work hard at their talents, even if it seems unconventional.
Amirah Sackett, thank you very much. Good luck with your career. Good luck with Where Muslim Don't Panic. And we look forward to hearing and seeing about you in the future. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.